Hello everybody and welcome to another video on XDCMS. In this video I'm going to be going through some of the new changes that's coming up in version 3.0. This is the demo version I have running at the moment. It's the latest version. It does show version 2.4, but once it's released it'll be version 3.0 just because there's a lot of changes and we'll just be releasing that as a bigger version number. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of the changes in this video, and there will probably be subsequent videos going into some of the other changes because I don't want this video to be too long, and some of the other changes take a little bit more explaining or demonstrating. So in this video I'm just going to show some of the changes that's made to the admin area, and that'll be mostly the focus on this one. So to begin with, the menu on the left over here, this has been just refreshed a little bit. It just looks a little more tidy, a little bit more modern than what was in the previous version. It's subtle, it's not a big difference, but it is just a bit tidier. The settings has been moved from here up to the top right, and this is context sensitive. So if you're in the categories area and you click on settings, it will bring you to the category settings, and if you click on, for example, products, and you click settings, from there it'll bring you to the product settings, and you can access all the different settings from up here as well. So that's been just changed. And also the shows down here now as well the response time of the server or the script running, and also how much memory is being used, so you can kind of see, I mean, generally speaking, this will only show, by the way, if you're logged in as the main admin, and it's just kind of show if you have a lot of products or a lot of data on your website, then you'll see more memory being used and a little bit more time maybe taken for the page loads. I have tested it on actual websites with like 15,000 products and stuff like that, and it runs really well. So you're looking at like a half a second response plus or maybe 10 megs of memory or something like that. So it can handle a lot of products, but this is just basically allowing you to monitor and keep an eye on it to make sure there's no kind of like issues with something taking an extraordinary amount of time, which you shouldn't be doing. So that's added. What else has been done? Let me just check my text. Okay, so the new friendly URL settings page. So if you go to the config settings, in the previous version, I see we added this protocol, which allows you to switch between them. So that's already there, but it's handy. And also, but new is this friendly URLs. So you can set the URL here that points to your index file, but to enable friendly URLs, you just have to go to config file, and now you just have to click in here, and you can disable or enable them. So if I click disable here, just tells you they're disabled, and if I click enable, it says they're enabled now and they're working. And it also shows you down here the URL rewrite rules that you need to use. So if you don't have a htaccess file set up already, then you can use this one. This is telling you basically what to include in that file to make the friendly the friendly URLs to work. So it's a combination of making sure you have your htaccess file rules here set up, and also just clicking this button. Before, you used to have to do this in the config file. You have to use the set it from 0 to 1 basically to enable or disable it. So this has been brought now into the admin area, and it just at a glance you can tell if it's working or not, and if it's enabled, and it just makes it a bit easier. And also having the actual rules to use down here is really handy as well. That is a change that's been made. What else have we got? So the SMTP settings can be set in the admin area as well. So we go back to config, and up here beside the website email there's a button or link here to go to SMTP settings, so you can actually set them here in the admin area. You don't have to set these, but if you are using a mail server to send your emails like Gmail or Google or whatever that's external to your own hosting, then you could put their details in here and send your emails through their service. And so that has been removed. That was already existing in the previous version, but it was in a config file that you had to add the details, and now you can do it through the admin area, which makes it a bit easier to do. What else have we got? New holding page mode. So we go to maintenance. There was just the two options, enabled and disabled, and if it was enabled it would show this message. You now have the option to set holding page, and there's a custom HTML file that will displays a holding page which you can edit as you wish in your theme, basically. So I won't go into too much detail. What else have we got? So the CMS root URL can be set in the config page. So if we go back to config, in previous versions you just set the CMS URL and the website URL, and the CMS root URL is detected automatically when you install, and previously you could override it in the config file. But if there was an issue where it didn't detect it correctly, it was kind of hard to know that that was a problem, because there was no visual representation of it shown really to the user. You would have to kind of debug it and figure, oh yeah, that's the problem. So now if there is a problem, at least it will show here. You can see if it's right or wrong, basically, because it'll be input here and stored with the settings, and you can change it if you want. In some cases where it doesn't automatically detect, you need to manually set it there, and basically all you're doing is just pointing to the folder where the CMS is installed, the URL to the folder. You could do that, and you can still do it in the config file as an override, but now it's in the admin area, which just makes it more visible to the user, and also easier to change if you need to. So that's changed. What else have we got going on? Let me see. Oh, dev mode. Okay, so dev mode up here now has changed from the previous version. I think it was in the previous version. And in this version now, previously, if I just click on theme real quick here, which I will go into in another video because this has been updated quite a bit. But basically, when you switch theme, you can update it here by clicking this button. But if you had dev mode enabled in the previous version, it would constantly update the theme every page load, just to make sure as you're uploading changes and viewing them that it was always refreshed for the admin user who was developing the website. But now it's changed slightly. It doesn't do that automatically, because in some cases you might have a team with a lot of files and assets, and the page loads were kind of getting a bit too long as it was processing it each time. So now you can still update it here. So if you upload changes, you can click this button to refresh the theme. But also if you have dev mode enabled and you're viewing on the front end, let's say I click on categories and I click on just click this e-commerce page. So dev mode will enable this panel up here now. And so if I click admin, it'll bring me back to admin, and if I disable dev mode and then go back to that category here, or any page really, then it won't show that menu. So I'll have to go back to enable it here, and if I go back and refresh this page now, I get this little panel. So this is like it's called the dev mode admin panel. And basically it just gives you a quick link to bring you back to the admin area, but it also shows you what kind of you're looking at on the front end. So in this case we're looking at category with this number, and if we want to edit this category now, we can just simply click this icon here and it brings us back to the category to edit, which is a real quality of life convenience feature, which is nice. And so if I click view, it brings me back to view it on the front end. So now without opening even new tabs to kind of keep things, which you can still do if you want, you can just flick between editing it and viewing it by, you know, using this panel here, which is really handy. Now, if you've got, if you're the main admin user, or if you're logged in, if you have permissions to update themes and templates, you'll also get this information here, which shows you how long this page has taken. The response time for the page, basically, on the server side. Now this doesn't include the client side timing of, you know, displaying the images through the browser and stuff like that. This is just purely how long it took the page to process on the server before it was sent to the client. So it's more to do with the server side and the data that it's handling and pushing it out. So if you have cache enabled, this will be much faster as well. And if you don't have cache enabled, it'll probably be a little slower. However, I don't think cache is enabled on this, and this is lightning fast anyway. So this is 34 milliseconds, which is absolutely nothing. Most of the time, the displays page is not happening on the server side, but probably actually on the client side more so. And if you want client side timings, then you can use the inspector within the browser to get an overall how long it takes the page to load. Okay. Oh, and this button here is to basically update and refresh the theme. So that is the same. If I click this, if I click refresh in the browser, it just refreshes the page in the browser. But if I click this refresh button, it actually tells the CMS to scan through all your theme files and update and refresh and make sure it's using the latest ones that you've uploaded. So it's exactly the same as clicking this button here in the admin area. So if I go to theme, this button here basically. So if you're updating your website and uploading changes, it's a nice just click this button here, view website. It's just a fast way of looking at the page and refreshing it without jumping back and forth into the admin area. So that is that. What else have we got on the list? Dev mode. Okay, so that's pretty much all the admin stuff that I wanted to go through. Oh, actually, in the admin area changes as well. If you are editing or adding a category or product, these pages are now changed a little bit, so that these various sections can be collapsed and opened like this, which just means it kind of keeps it a bit tidier. So if I click on products and I edit, try this product here, it gives you the main details and all the other things are collapsed, but I can expand them if I want. So if I want to look at the actual content, I can expand that and have a look at the content here. And also the cancel and save buttons, they're always in view as you're viewing and editing your product now. So before you would have had to, before in the previous version, these would all have been expanded like so, which, you know, it's a lot of options to browse through. And these buttons were right down the bottom, so you would have had to edit something here, scroll all the way down the bottom and click save. But now you've always got this save button nice and conveniently there as you're viewing and editing things. And that applies to all the various sections. If you're editing a category, it's the same as well. Okay, so that's pretty much most of the admin general features, kind of like easy use improvements, little things like that to the admin area and interacting with it in the CMS. A couple of extra little technical things in there as well. But I'll go and leave this video at that, and I will, in the next video, I'll probably go through the theme changes, which has seen a big update over the previous version, and you can do a lot more stuff through the CMS with your theme, and I will cover that in the next video. Okay, so thank you for watching. Goodbye.